The Insights Idaho Department of Finance communicates department news and perspectives to aid consumers in making educated financial decisions and to inform both industry and consumers of regulatory and consumer protection issues.
Hello, my name is Celia Kinney, and I'm the Consumer Affairs Officer with the Idaho Department of Finance. Welcome to Insights. In today's podcast, Idaho Department of What? Deputy Director Anthony Polidori and I will discuss who the Department of Finance really is and clarify its role and its mission. It will also explain when the department can be a resource to Idaho consumers and businesses. I'll provide a disclaimer here, and that is that I've only been with the department coming up on 2 years, and in that time, it has been like drinking from a bit of a fire hose and furthering my understanding of the many hats the department wears. Deputy Director Polidori, on the other hand, has clocked over 20 years and is really the oracle figure with the department. So I will put you on the spot now, Anthony, and please tell us in 60 seconds or less what the Idaho Department of Finance does.
Well, thank you, Celia, for that question. And it's interesting, when we were first planning for this podcast, you'd asked me to break it down into 10 words or less. So I'm going to use the 10 words that I had, and those are protecting Idaho's financial health through supervision, innovation, and consumer education. But to use up that full 60 seconds, if I can, the Idaho Department of Finance is also an executive agency that oversees depository and non-depository financial services that operate in Idaho. The department was created in 1905 to ensure the stability and public confidence in banks organized under one state charter. At that time, the department administered only one law, the Idaho Bank Act, and licensed only one industry, banks. But today, the department regulates over 200,000 financial service providers and products in 15 different industries under 22 different statutes. Those are all supervised through 3 functional bureaus: our Consumer Finance Bureau, our Financial Institutions Bureau, and our Securities Bureau. A little bit more, the department's director is appointed by the governor, and the department receives no general fund or tax revenues. Instead, it's funded exclusively by the fees paid by our regulated industries. For fiscal year 22, an example, the department had an appropriated budget of over $9 million in 66 full-time positions. Does that give you a little bit more insight into what the department is?
It does. And so really another takeaway there is that taxpayer dollars do not fund the activities of the department. But can you tell me a little bit more about how the regulation that's occurring and that growth in regulation impacts everyday consumers, Idaho consumers?
That's a great question, Celia. And since 1905, obviously, we've had a change in financial services from just banking to various different types of services that might be provided out there. There's consumer finance services where people might go to get a car loan or even an unsecured loan. There's money transmission services where people might use a service provider to send money from here in Idaho to some other place in the country. There's investment services. There's collection agencies. There's credit counseling. There's other debt repair organizations out there. So all of those industries are overseen by the department, and our mission is to ensure that the consumers are safe in the management of their debts, their finances, and their activities or their use of these services by these various service providers.
Okay, and so I'm a consumer. How would I know if an organization or business or even individual might be in violation of a law that would be in place to protect me? How would I begin to understand that or seek assistance?
Well, that's what the department's here for, is to answer any questions that consumers may have about the financial services that they're receiving. Now, businesses and individuals that work in the financial services industry in Idaho are, for the most part, required to be licensed to interact with our Idaho consumers. Now, these entities will apply for licensure or for a charter or registration in the state through the department. We oversee those licensees and make certain that on a day-to-day basis their activities are compliant with both state and federal law, and that the ways they're conducting their activities comply with the requirements in Idaho. If consumers run into a problem, they can always reach out to the department and contact us about those issues, file a complaint, or just get general information about the services that they're receiving.
So how would I know if an entity is licensed to conduct business in Idaho? Would they be required to be licensed simply to communicate with me? Would that communication establish that they are licensed to interact and perform business on my behalf if I so choose?
Well, it's always a good idea to verify whether or not an entity is licensed by the department, or even if it's required to be licensed by the department. We have a couple means for you to do that. First of all, you can always give us a call. We're happy to receive any telephone communication from a consumer asking us questions about licensees. But we also post on our website the list of different licensees we have in various different areas for financial services. You can go to those lists and search for a service provider who's making an offer to you to determine whether or not they're licensed with us. And if you don't find them there, then it is a good time maybe to contact the department and ask them, are they required to be licensed to offer that particular type of service?
And that segues well into our next point here, which is how to contact the department should you need to report a complaint or inquire about the practices of a financial service business or individual, perhaps a scam or even a solicitation that looks questionable. And that would be really to file a complaint with our office. You can do that on our website, finance.idaho.gov. And if you're really not sure if your issue is really a complaint, perhaps it's just a question, feel free to give our office a call and we'd be happy to discuss that with you. We do have subject matter experts that can help guide you. The department does not seek relief on behalf of consumers, but acts as an intermediary to determine if a violation of law has occurred. Now, with that being said, perhaps a violation has not occurred, but there's been a change in address and you hadn't received a bill. It got sent to collections, and through that complaint process and the department acting as an intermediary, there was a resolution offered voluntarily by that collection agency. There can be relief that occurs organically as a result of that collection effort.
I think that's a great point, Celia. Oftentimes, just by filing a complaint with the Department of Finance and our opening up a communication with the entity that the complaint's been filed against, we can find remediation, resolution for the consumer that has the complaint. And it's not just collections, it's various different types of things. Oftentimes, consumers have complaints about the services that they received when they obtained a loan, or maybe the fees that were charged to them when they obtained a loan. You know, those types of things, again, you can give us a call and ask us questions about them, but we're more than happy to advise you on those. But if you do file a complaint, regularly we find that, just that communication, as I said, with the entity will resolve many of the issues with the complaints. You mentioned the word violations. I want to tell you a little bit about what the department does in relation to this supervision that we're talking about. The department conducts regular examinations of the companies that are licensed or registered with it. And through those examinations, we try to ensure that these companies are operating in a compliant manner so that we can avoid having consumer complaints in the future because a company has failed to follow the law. Now, oftentimes, we may find violations of different compliance requirements, whether it's advertising requirements or maybe, again, it's fees or the way they treat their consumer. And in those instances where we do find that, we try to correct the issues with those companies before those issues become systemic or they result in some type of consumer harm. However, that doesn't resolve everything. And so if you do run into those types of problems with a company or a service provider, always feel free to contact the department.
Absolutely. And as a follow-up on just that consumer-facing portion or arm of the department, I want to let people know that the department is absolutely committed to increasing financial literacy in the state of Idaho for all Idahoans. One way the department engages in communities is via speaker requests. So organizations, community groups, individuals, and even schools can request a speaker from the department who can come and discuss a wide variety of financial literacy topics, such as avoiding financial fraud, basics of budgeting, first-time home buying, and planning for retirement. To request a speaker, certainly call our office or visit our website, finance.idaho.gov, and be sure to periodically visit us on Facebook at facebook.com/IdahoDOF and Twitter at Idaho Finance, where we regularly post news, consumer alerts, and valuable resources. Anthony, any additional thoughts in terms of kind of important points to touch on that are within the department's supervision?
Well, first of all, I want to go back to what you were talking about when you mentioned consumer outreach and education. The department prides itself on its ability to reach out to the consumers and the communities at large to give information and education. In our annual reports, we'll commonly have reported at least 25 events that department staff and personnel have attended or presented at. We don't just do it with consumers, we also do it with industry. We attend industry events to provide information to them about the trends in compliance or the trends in regulation. And we also attend various other types of organizations events, such as associations of other regulators, to share with them our experiences in Idaho and to obtain information about the experiences that they've had in their states. Other far key points regarding the Department of Finance and supervision, I think it's important just to know that we're there for you. That our mission, as I stated before, is to ensure that consumers in Idaho have access to healthy financial services, and that we oversee those services in a prudent and safe and sound manner.
Well, thank you. That's fantastic.
We want to thank you for joining us for our production of Insights, the Idaho Department of Finance. We'd love to hear from you and learn more about the ideas and topics that are on your mind. Forward your suggestions and feedback to our email address, finance@finance.idaho.gov.